Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Okay, we're live.
Back on.
Our apologies. Facebook either got irritated with us and kicked us off because they've done that before, or the powers that be just don't want to hear this conversation. But for whatever reason, my point was being that from 8 to 12, kids generally learn what they want to be in life at that stage, which is why when they become teenagers, you can't tell them anything.
Yeah.
They've already decided. So I feel like we should create a curriculum that gives them life skills. Tell them about credit, how to respect people, what relationship, all these different things that are coming at them when they become a teenager. We avoid and we fill it with you need to learn math, education, and all these different things, math, English, science, and we forget that life is going to happen to them. At 14, 15, 16, 17 years old is when they're going to experience relationships, financial woes, working, all these different things that are hit them head on. And guess what they've learned? Nothing from 8 to 12.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. Anything that they did learn, they're going to either implement that into their work life. So if a kid is 8 to 12 and he doesn't have work ethic, from 12 to 18, he's not going to have work ethic.
Yeah.
If he's terrible with respecting people from that, he's going to be terrible at respecting people as a teenager. We have to understand that it trickles down, it trickles into their adult life. And now you have guys who are in their 30s who still don't get it.
Right.
Why? Because they never
Never
got
got it.
what they needed
At that.
at that age. And we have to create curriculums that force feed this into their lives. I mean, that's just my perspective, but I feel like the reason we can't get to teenagers is because we failed to get to them at that age where you can still shape and mold them.
So you said something that I 100% agree with a minute ago, which was we have to start with our children.
Absolutely.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
However, I would take one half step back before that
Okay.
and say we have to start with ourselves.
Okay. Absolutely.
Here's why I say that.
Absolutely.
Good point, George.
In my book, I asked this question, and Carol said it at the beginning of the interview. Are you? I'm going to ask you this
Okay.
individually. I'm going to ask, and you guys tell me what your answers are.
Okay.
Are you your color or are you your culture? You.
Both.
Okay. What makes you? What is that?
You gotta pick one.
Well,
Well,
What
it's
makes me
okay.
my
There's no right
color-
or wrong if that's what he's thinking. I want him to
What-
to validate that. You're saying you're both.
absolutely.
You're
What
your
makes me
color.
my color is this what I feel from the nation, from the world. Is that's what makes me my color. What makes me my color is realizing that people look at me different sometimes, or
Okay.
speak to me differently,
All right.
or address me differently when it comes to certain things like
Okay, and
politics.
then what makes you your culture?
What makes me my culture is the need to want to help. And
So what is your culture?
my culture is
You see that?
That's what I'm talking
I
about.
don't know.
Stop right there.
See that?
You answer.
My answer would be culture.
Okay.
And
what is your culture?
The culture that I believe that I am, just based on the time I was born to right now. I'm from the inner city, so the things that go on there, I represent in a certain way.
So give me some characteristics of that culture.
Very, very strong,
Resilient,
resilient.
street smart.
street smart.
Absolutely. Teflon skin.
So you're built for battle.
Yes. So that's basically. So I
And
would say
do you have a name for that culture?
no. No. Just
Okay. Donnie,
I would say on both.
I appreciate those answers, by the way, man. Those are good answers.
I would say on both.
Okay.
I used to be more color than culture. However, through some things that have happened, you know what I'm saying, experiences I've gone through in my life, I've become more culture. And I say that on the strength of fighting stereotypes. As I got older, I learned more and more the stereotypes that I had been put in, and I wanted to be the opposite, and I wanted to show people I was the opposite. I have when I first went to college, I went to orientation and met a white girl who came in, was coming in as a freshman, and she stated that she had never had a black friend. And so I became her friend because I wanted her. I felt that I was a good enough example to be her, first black friend, and I wanted her to see that what you see on TV isn't how, we really are.
So
Depending on what she saw.
what is the name of your culture?
I don't know.
So you see the points of that process
Right.
that you guys go through, because it's not a right or wrong.
Right.
But until we start doing that self-assessment,
Right.
we're passing that down to our kids.
Right.
And knowing who we
Well,
are.
I would say I don't have a name for it, but I would say like he's talking about how he grew up inner city and this, that, and the other. I grew up in a 2-parent household. From my mother remarried when I was born
Right.
to my mother and my father being married. Who my mother or they became divorced, and then my mother remarried. So I was born into a 2-parent, went to single parent, then went back to 2-parent home.
Right.
So my biological father, while I was growing up, was not as educated as my stepfather. However, he had, that's where I get my hustle from.
Yeah, yeah.
He, had a job. He had his own business. And he was at the state fair with his business for almost 30 years straight. He was, stories in the paper. I grew up going to the state fair every year. That's why I'm so burned out now. And, my stepfather was, so my biological father was street smart. My stepfather was book smart.
Yeah.
So I kind of got the best of both worlds. However, my mother was a loving mother. She taught me to take care of your family. She taught me to love your family. She taught me to help others. She made me start volunteering at a young age. So that is my culture: to love, to help, and to uplift.
So here's why I'm really wanting to dial down on that on this particular exercise, because we're in competition, right?
Okay.
And it is about identity.
Mm-hmm.
And the quicker you can access who you are,
Right.
the more competitive you'll be. You played sports, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of the team? Your last name of the team you were last on?
Sycamore. No, I take that back. Mustangs.
Mustangs. You knew your identity. There was no. Let me think about it. You knew
Right.
who you
Right.
were.
True.
You knew and because you were the Mustangs, you knew your playbook, you knew your coach, you knew the standards. It was automatic.
Right.
And that made your team. That was individual, and because you're a team player, that made your team effective.
True.
Because you had a collective conscience as the Mustangs.
Right.
As a black community, we're still hesitating.
Trying to figure that out.
We're between nigga, Negro, black, colored, Cablinasian. I'm not really sure.
African American.
African American. We don't know. I'm saying, I don't care which one you pick. Just pick one,
Right.
Right.
so that we can all get something done.
Right.
Because we are not effective.
Amen.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I mean that's so true. I mean,
Absolutely.
when you is African American on your birth certificate,
No, black. Race is on the birth certificate.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you see how over the years, like our title or our
Has changed.
nationality changes.
Yes.
So I mean,
And
so
who's been in control of that?
the elites.
Right, right. Which is why and I repeat myself. This is why we have to take our power back, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
we individually
yes.
possess more power than we think. If you've been told that you're uneducated, that you'll never be anything because you come from this and that, then you might believe it.
Exactly.
But if you can do what we did and create a media news station, whatever you want to call it, live streaming, you can do that. We can do it. You can do it too.
Listen,
It's
we-
like
yeah.
for some reason, as a kid growing up, I didn't realize that. I thought that good jobs only went to Caucasian or Asian people.
Yeah.
I'll never get a job like that. I'll never make that much money. Until I got educated and made that much money. And I'm like, well, that wasn't hard. So it's like we have to remove ourselves from the media, even from social media. It could be detrimental if you don't understand who you are or where you are. You might just believe that everything that's being said on there is true.
It's fear based.
Yeah.
When we were, getting started, we had a practice show, right? So, I was sitting right here, and we were talking about basketball. Donald Sterling, the old owner for the Clippers, and this is what I said, and I got ridiculed for like 2 weeks. I
remember that.
I said, listen, why don't you take the top 25, NBA players, past and present, who have made the most money, and have them put money in the pot, and they could create their own league. And everyone's like, "Nah, man, that doesn't make sense. Like, where would they play at?" And I said, "Start small and grow large, like everything does.
Absolutely.
Like a tree does not skip steps."
You were ahead of your time, man.
So like for 2 weeks, like everyone's like, "Man, I'm getting phone calls like, man, are you crazy? Are you crazy?" And it's mainly black people. Now, guess what happened?
Guess what happened?
Ice Cube started a 3-on-3 league,
Yep.
which is booming.
Yep.
And then there's other leagues that are going on. So these same people like, man, you know what, man, you were right. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. I'm like I said, no, it's not a matter of me being right. It's a matter of me, just looking at something
And saying,
and saying, look, man, you can't be fearful.
Right.
You can't worry about, they won't allow you to do that. And it gets back to, your saying with the, elephant in the chain.
Right.
When you look at the majority of these sports, like, NBA,
Yeah.
mainly black people, right?
Yeah.
So when the whole Donald Sterling thing happened, I was sitting at home and I was like, man, they better not play that next game. Because once you start hitting those pockets, those changes, man, will come.
Yes, sir.
And what they do,
Yeah.
they go out there and they turn their jerseys inside out. Like, that's proven a point. And in that same game, they lost by like 60 points because they weren't motivated to play. Okay, you played so that owner made money.
Yeah.
If you don't play, that owner loses money.
Losing money.
See, this is why, like, I like that logic, but you have to understand that there's ways to win without doing the most.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on for a second.
Like, listen to me for a second. Listen to me for a second, because this is why he got ridiculed.
Nah, but
This is
see,
why he got ridiculed.
but look, see, that's not the most though. That's putting your foot down.
No. But
and saying that I'm not going to allow certain things to happen.
No, I'm not arguing with that. I'm arguing
because
with
we've been passive, man, for so too long. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not saying go out and be violent, but I'm saying, okay, listen, I'm not going to play tonight. I don't care if I was the last person, on the bench or the star. Me, I'm not playing. Period.
Okay.
You
Well,
can't show
well,
up.
well. Look, you're replaceable. So
But
So here's
listen,
the thing.
but see, it wouldn't even matter.
Kaepernick, they've
like
done-
it's about Colin Kaepernick. Great point.
They've done it.
Great point. Now he's been blackballed, right? And guess what? He came out and said, "I will no longer even try to play in that
Okay,
league
that's a
because
start.
they do not." No, but
That's a
he's
start.
but he doesn't care about the money in that aspect. So I wouldn't care if I was making $100 million or $1,000. It's about principalities to me. And if an owner said, I feed them, I clothe them, I don't want them at my games, and I'm playing for that owner, I'm not playing.
So I hear your strategy, and I see a lot of logic in that. Now,
Right.
I want to hear your strategy. And
my
tell me.
strategy is quite different and it's probably because I do policies and procedures, so I understand that there needs to be a plan in place. It's easy to say, hey, this guy's making 30 million. You should go against the whole league. And it's like, okay, yeah, you should represent, but make sure you put yourself in a position to win. And the problem is not everybody is going to get the attention Kaepernick did. There's been several people that's been blackballed from all kinds of certain sports and that are black and have tried to do that. And unfortunately, they don't get the same kind of attention. So you're not going to get a lot of Kaepernicks to make a big impact like that. But what you can get is a group of people who quietly plan to do something important like that and get to a level where they can't be stopped. Because in this country, you can only get to a certain level. I'll use Kanye as an example. He wanted to be a fashion designer. Well, guess what? There's certain people that just won't let you in the fashion world. You have to be in certain places, in certain parts of the world, and have certain people in your corner to be able to even get to that level. And if you live in a country that is a sports giant for basketball and football, you better damn well make sure that on your way to the top, no one that you're going against is able to say yes or no. So my thing is that's not a bad idea. How we go about it can't be in a way that is going to affect and be detrimental to the entire plan.
But that's not detrimental if you're playing the game and this owner is paying you money and this owner is smiling in your face and then he makes a comment or comments like that.
Again, it goes back to plan. Everybody has to be on
You
board.
guys are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I mean,
You guys are saying
We
the
just
same
would
thing.
approach it differently.
Absolutely.
okay, now, hold
The
on. Now,
point
would you have
is,
played that
the,
game?
The bottom line is we need to
No,
have our
probably
own
not.
teams. We have to stop being bleeding hearts and worrying about what everybody
I
else
agree.
is
Right.
thinking or doing.
I agree.
That's why I said earlier, we're still in infancy.
Right.
We have to take care of our own, ourselves, and then let
I agree.
the other
Right.
worry about the other. That's what they do historically.
Yeah.
That
Right.
we don't do.
Right.
That's why they have the upper hand
Right.
and we don't.
That's a good point. That's a good point, and that's not even being discriminatory or racist or anything like that.
Has nothing
When you
to do-
when you think about how things are being done and how they've been done across the board, it's almost like it's necessary. That's why you have Jewish schools.
Yeah.
You have Latino schools. You have these different schools out there because they're able to harness these kids and build them up and
Exactly.
go
And
into
use their
society
resources,
Exactly.
like
and
JCC
have
things like
a
that.
self identity, which puts them into this system. You know, you can stay in this country, you know, but now you have a citizen who understands who they are and they could work like anybody else.
Right.
You know, but when you have a group of people who just don't know who they are and have self identity problems and are fighting for scraps, somebody used this logic where you put, they do these test cases where they put a bunch of rats in a small confined compartment, and by the end of the day these rats are all eating on each other and trying to survive to live, and it's
Yeah.
the same thing. You put a bunch of people in an area where they don't have access to the same things, they're going to rip each other apart. That's just logic.
I want to go back a little bit where we were talking about people talking about the or being put under limitations. I wanted to point out sometimes the first thing that people point out when an issue comes up, or are the limitations. They point out why they can't do
Yes.
something,
Yes.
why this, that, and the other. Me personally, and I've expressed this to several people. I'm the type of person, if you and I are standing at the bottom of the mountain, of this huge mountain,
Right.
while you're sitting there pondering like, how am I going to get up this mountain? I'm halfway up it because I've already started.
Right.
If it's something that is in my way or something I want to do, I'm gonna attack it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was not born that way, but my
Experiences.
examples and experiences, and my role models,
Sure.
family members, showed me that's how you have to be to
Right.
be successful. Now that people not having those role models face those limitations.
Yes.
However, once they come in contact with me,
Right.
these are
gonna
the
change.
things that I'm trying to enlighten you on.
Right.
What are barriers? What are
Right.
limitations?
There are none.
Temporary obstacles. That's what they are.
Right.
You have to set your mind. There are things that, when there are so many kids that I see who can figure out math equations, long division, multiplication, and things like that, because they've set their mind to be able to compute down that formula and
Right.
get through it.
Right.
Well, why can't we attack that way to barriers and things that come in our way? There are ways around things,
Right.
and you have to be able. If you want something, you're gonna find a way to get it.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
nature.
We're
There's
not we're not taught, our families are not taught to be strong like that, to survive like that, to
Right.
like have no limitations. I tell my kids all the time, you could be anything you want to be. I say it all the time because I want them to wake up one day and be like, you know what, I could be anything I want to be. The more they hear it, a lot of us are not saying the things that subliminally can get to our kids
Yeah.
every single day.
Positive,
You
yep.
have the power to tell them every day that they can be great, but you don't.
Yeah.
So how do we get a curriculum like black in our public schools?
I'll tell you what, a good guy to start would be Brandon Cosby. Brandon
he's a bad
Cosby with
boy.
the Flanner House.
Yeah, he's a bad boy.
Shout out to Brandon
He's
Cosby,
a,
man.
He's an awesome advocate for it. You know, he had a short stint at Short Ridge, and you know that happened
that wasn't right.
when he
Yeah, I was
got
there.
in when he got
I
in
was there with
and
him.
he gave the kids what they
students loved
needed.
him. The students loved him.
I was there with them.
The leadership disagreed because traditionally they did it a different way.
He was not.
He took the bells out.
Yeah.
He said, you know, if people are confined to getting to class when there's a
Ding,
bell,
ding. Yeah,
that's
he's
a
training.
problem.
He's
You know, you take the bell away, and then they don't have those constraints, and you give them a little freedom to do what they do, and they subliminally, it's like, well, I know I need to get to class. I'm going to get to class. You know, you take those constraints away. So he did a lot of things that changed the minds of the kids that were in hoods and getting shot and all these other places, but traditionally it didn't fit.
fit.
And
the
that
leadership got rid of him because of
Yeah.
that.
that was great because I mean the times now we're dealing with unconventional students
Situations.
and,
Right.
and situations, and you cannot you cannot
Traditional.
attack. Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
Right on
You
point.
can't attack that
I
tradition.
got,
Right.
I
Right.
got
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
come
Right,
out
for sure.
right now.
For sure.
But I don't
It's
have
like
enough
that.
space.
Let me in, coach.
You know
Let
what I
me in.
mean? Yeah.
That's
I
the
mean, I'm
thing.
Absolutely.
very passionate about that. I cannot accept
Yeah.
being limited anymore. And I talk from that, you know, and I speak on that on a personal level.
Right.
And I attack my players, my former players, my children, my wife. I attack everyone
Because we are powerful.
with that. Yeah.
We are powerful.
Me personally, I don't see limitations. I see temporary barriers. If I want to get around that, I can.
Yeah.
My daughter is 9 years old, and she's figuring out who she is and who she wants to be. There's no way I'm gonna teach my daughter to accept status quo
Limitations.
for
Yes,
a
sir.
black woman.
Yes, sir.
No, my daughter is in Hispanic or a Spanish immersion, and she will graduate high school with that IB diploma. And I'm already speaking volumes in her. She wants to go to college. She wants to get married. You know, she wants, you know, I'm speaking to her now. My wife and I planned her future. We want her, you know, as a parent, you want your kids to do better than you.
Right.
Well, we set her up with this Spanish. She's bilingual. She'll be in
Already.
the 4th grade.
She's ready to go.
And
Right.
a black woman being bilingual, we're talking already about her majoring in Spanish in
Awesome.
school, and I'm trying to find a minor. I'm embedding that in her now. You know, because I started with myself. I looked at that man in the mirror and was like, what can we do? And my elevation of myself, like I said before, I believe in lifting while climbing. So I'm pulling my people, starting with my own family,
man.
up at the same time. And that's what we've got to do as people. We got to quit when problems arise. We got to quit pointing out the negative
Right.
and these limitations and start focusing on the solution. Because if you're not a part of the solution,
Part of the problem.
So
Definitely.
in talking about solution in the book at chapter 5, it's titled "The Black Solution."
Okay.
And what you guys were going through a minute ago, I wanted to just read something out of the book to
Okay.
address that.
Okay.
Step 6 in the solution. There's several steps. Develop a collective conscience. We are all in the same boat, and there's a hole in it. Herein lies the rub. Whenever discussions on this particular community of color's plight, there is a natural tendency to believe that there is only one right way to deal with these issues, to the exclusion of other points of view. So much so that it leads to a cultural paralysis, leaving participants in the conversation frustrated, angry, confused, and hopeless. Mature and effective cultural groups embrace alternative and opposing points of view. However, not to the exclusion of those points on which everyone can agree on. Then that begins to establish what is called a collective conscience. So this process right here
Right.
was beautiful
Right.
because you were firm about your point of view. You were firm about yours, but it was done in a way that was respectful.
Right.
And somewhere in the middle is probably where the true
solution.
answer is.
Right.
Yeah, because I asked him, I said, would you have played that game? And he said, probably not. So I just stopped.
And so in all of these type of scenarios, and you know, from How are we going to create our own education systems, right? How are we going to stop getting shot by police? How are we going to stop earning less? How are we going to create our own economic platform?
Right.
It's going to take everybody's input. There's not going to be a one right way. And we have to get off this leader paradigm where we need a guy to come up and tell us
Right.
the way to go. We need this type of conversation, and we need to be able to fight strongly for our views, but then realize once we've fought, let's see what sticks that we can all agree on.
Absolutely.
And
Let's
move
build on
from
that.
there.
Yeah, let's build on that.
Absolutely. And the big thing out of all of this, and I'm going to end it with this, is sacrifice. We're missing the sacrifice. So many that is so strong. Like it's such a strong word. It's in the Bible. You know, we talked about breaking the goat to the family, cutting the throat. We don't have to do that these days. But sacrifice is taking time out to realize that it's individually our responsibility to do something about the problems that we face every day, whether that's in the home or outside the home. We're not obligated to just our children. We're obligated to other children and other people and the whole world. I don't think God put these people or any of us on this planet to fend just for ourselves. I think we are all placed here to help one another. So individually, we have a responsibility, and that takes sacrifice. We have to realize that it's not just about us. Take time out to help other people. You know, and when you look at it from somebody else's perspective, it feels good to help somebody else. Like, it feels good to sit here and talk to people who have no idea what's going on in the world today, and for them to get some affirmation on that, hey, maybe I wasn't the only one thinking that, or hey, maybe there is a solution. Maybe there is a way out. Maybe I should go start this business because I have no limitations, you know? So for whatever reason, we've all sacrificed our night. We could be watching Netflix and chill or whatever they call it today. You know, we could be doing anything else, but we're here tonight sacrificing our time to give back and to let people know that, look, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
We could get there together. You know, only if we could just continue having this dialogue, having these conversations, and continue just being a part of the solution. So
Challenging
Beautiful.
to read that book.
I challenge you to read that book.
Available on Amazon.com.
Absolutely. What we like to do is closing remarks, and this is where we talk to the viewers and just kind of let them know, you know, your last thoughts on the conversation tonight, or how to get in touch with you, and
what you
you
have
know
going
what you
on.
have going on. This is kind of where we do that at. Carol, we'll start with you.
Lori?
That's
Cars,
Carol.
Lori. Sorry. Goodness, Lori.
Messing up the name.
I know. I'm sorry.
What are we doing here?
We're just giving our final thoughts,
Yeah,
you
final
know, in
thoughts on-
regards to the conversation that we had, and we're just talking to the viewers, just letting them know, hey, you know, whatever, you know, just give your last thoughts on the night. That could be, you know, sharing with them that you got their back, they can contact you, whatever. It's all good.
Okay, sure. You can contact me at Lori4.Matthews@yahoo.com. I have a perspective. I have an opinion. I have 2 sons and 4 grandsons, and I'm very committed to the growth.
Awesome. Are you willing to come back and have this conversation with us again?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes,
awesome.
and we will most definitely set that up.
He makes sure we set that up. after the
Absolutely,
show.
you have to.
George.
I would say the most important thing to leave on is to think strategy. Get out of what's right and what's wrong, and get into what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
And whatever doesn't work, decrease that and increase what does work. When you get into right and wrong, you get into morals, and everybody's got an opinion about morals, and it paralyzes you from doing anything.
Right.
But if you think strategy, will this get me from point A to point B, or will it make me lose ground? That's a better argument, and 9 times out of 10, it'll be the moral thing to do too.
Absolutely. And your book is titled
BLACK, which is an acronym for Beliefs Limiting Authentic Cultural Knowledge.
I like that. We need to put that on a shirt.
Next to the grave.
Where can they find your book?
It's online at Amazon.com, and you can also reach me at my website, which is thegeorgemiddleton.com. and you can just contact me personally, and I keep books with me. I'll probably be looking at trying to find some, brick and mortar stores here. But primarily, this is a relationship building book, so it's really meant for anybody in the human services
Okay.
field. So I'm trying to connect with therapists, connect with educators, connect with mentors, connect with clergy and lay people
Awesome.
that are in human services,
Right.
and have that personal conversation like what we're doing here,
Yeah.
so that we can start thinking about ourselves first before we start working with other people. We got to make sure we're in check.
Absolutely.
And this race thing, now that we're in the era of Trump, it's all coming out, which is a good thing. And it's time for us to be honest about how we think about black and how we think about white.
Absolutely. Carol, I got your name right.
Well, sort of.
Sorry, Lori.
Sort of.
Keep looking at me saying Carol.
Caroline.
It's Carolyn. But that's okay. That's all right.
Almost.
I'd like to leave this evening on a note of, first of all, thanks to you guys for the opportunity to come
Thank
and
you.
chat, have some good dialogue, meeting some new friends. But realistically, I would hope that people would stay away from looking at color. That is not black, it's not white, we are human beings. And to focus on what we really want to accomplish in our life.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to self-analyze ourselves. And it's not a pleasant thing because of all the mistakes we do make.
Right.
We have to take that time and we have to make some changes in our life before we can make any great changes in our future.
Absolutely.
And so I just hope that everyone has enjoyed this conversation.
Absolutely,
As much
yeah.
as I have. I
Are
really
you
have.
willing to come
Thank
back
you so
and
much.
have this conversation with us again?
I would love to.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
We will set that up.
Milms.
I would also like to add just
Yes, sir.
that beliefs and feelings, there's no right or wrong.
Right.
There's no gray area.
Absolutely.
So,
There it
that's
is.
your journey. That's what you
Right.
feeling,
Right.
and
Very
it's
good.
Right.
certain.
It has a place in somewhere.
Absolutely.
Everybody is a part of this. We have to figure it out.
This is the part where I promote mental health.
Okay.
If mental health is real, if you know someone's struggling, they have questions, you notice mood swings, behavior changes, just something that if you worry about a person, they may just need some help. But do not sweep it under the rug. Do not, they're not weird. They are human. And there are people like myself and other panelists who are educated enough to help them. And there are many of us out there. So please, if you know someone or are suffering yourself and need mental health consultation, please reach out. You can email me at dmims, M-I-M-M-S, at arisingsinc.org. And please reach out. I do my best. I am an advocate for change in people. Do not limit yourselves. Do not be afraid of help. I got where I am today because I asked for help, and these gentlemen asked me to come on this show tonight, and I was more than willing, and I'm more than willing to come back anytime you guys ask. It is a real thing, and it is something that needs to be addressed with our youth, with our adults. And it is real. So please, if you need help, know someone will help, encourage them to receive it, encourage them to ask, because the first step is showing up and asking for help.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. We have to be comfortable with getting help. Help is not a bad thing to get. It's part of life. Get help. It's there for you. P. Wills.
Oh man, wow. This has been a very, very great conversation. I've learned a lot. Thank you, for coming. Asked you to come for that reason. I mean, because we had a show for LDE a couple of months back, and we're talking about basketball, and we did the same thing. Closing remarks, and he did the exact same thing, and that resonated, man, with me, because I've dealt with certain things, not having my father there, that that I still deal with. So I've always, and I don't think I've really ever told you this, but I've always looked at you like an uncle, man, even though we're like the same age. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when he says certain things and just his actions, I'm like, you know, just listening to him, you know. So he's a great guy, man. He's, you know, and like his
Yep.
passion, man, is there,
Yep.
you know, for the kids and for people. So that stuck out, man, with me. You know, I didn't say anything, but I'm very observant. And just the whole conversation that we had. I'm just thankful for y'all to come and just be open and candid. We just have to just understand that we are all connected. Period. You know, you talk about that we have to get past the whole color thing. I totally agree. You know, once we start, my grandfather, he was part of the Panthers at certain points, but I had a conversation with him before he died. It was, about a year before he died. And he told me to never judge a person by their color, just judge a person by their character.
Absolutely.
Just really look at how they treat people and, who they are. And that stuck with me, too. So when I meet people, I'm always courteous. I'm always, trying to fill them out.
Yep.
Because you never know who you're going to run into, and just overall, just knowing that, when I see you, I should see myself, period. So if we all did that, this world would just be totally different. The whole paradigm would shift. So, I'll just say that, just show love to each other. When you see your brother or your sister, you should see yourself, and just know that we are all connected.
Very well said.
Yeah, very well said, man. Lori Matthews,
Yes.
George Middleton,
Yes, sir.
Carolyn Bickle. Did I say that
Absolutely,
right?
You did.
I nailed it. Donnie Mims, P. Wills, man, this has been great. I love the dialogue and I love the conversation. I just love that we're able
My gift
to.
for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh man, some George Middleton smooth jazz. Okay. Yeah. I had to purchase that on another day. We got it for free.
Hey, is this on YouTube?
Yes, it is on you.
Okay. Well, I'm okay.
Yeah.
He got something up the sleeve for you. But thank all you guys for coming. We love this type of dialogue because it gives us a chance to sit here and be transparent and talk about the things that need to be talked about.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
How else can we move past things if we can't have a dialogue about it? It should not be frowned upon. We can all agree to disagree or disagree to agree. However, as long as we sat down and had a conversation about it, it gave each one of us something to think about when we walk out the door.
Absolutely.
And it gets us one step closer to mending those wounds that continue to harness that find themselves in our lives every day. The most important thing that we should gather here tonight is that it starts with self. Like George has been saying all night, it starts with self. We have to look at ourselves before we can help anybody. The next thing is we have to attack our kids mentally and make sure that they understand the same thing so that can resonate with their kids and their kids and their kids. And that's how you start a generational revolution. We can go out and pound the ground with torches and marching and all that stuff. But if we aren't self-reflecting and if we aren't teaching our kids the right things, to respect people and to give them the things that they need to take on in life, then to start there. And not only that, after you get to the kids, you have to take it upon yourself to go out there outside of your home and be a part of the solution. So there's three takeaways that we have to realize that we're doing. If you're not doing any of those, you have no right to speak on anything because that's where it starts at. So I appreciate you guys for opening that dialogue tonight, and I learned, like Pat, I learned a lot tonight, and I think that the viewers will appreciate this and learn a lot too, and we definitely got to have a part two. So thank you guys for
Right
coming.
on to the gray area, man. This
Thank
was
you.
Awesome
Thank you.
experience.
Thank you, and we'll see you guys next week.
We've obligated ourselves to be the voice for all communities, speaking on topics that include community, religion, education, politics, technology, sports, health, and wellness. The Gray Area Media is a platform created by longtime friends for the sole purpose of providing our communities with the ability to voice current, past, and modern-day issues. The Gray Area, in its naming significance, solely speaks to the area in which people shy away from speaking because of media-based constraints or contractual-based obligations. Well, I'm here to tell you, we don't do that here. So please, stay tuned in. We're going to go live in a few minutes. Don't forget, please add us as a friend on Facebook so that you can follow our live feed. And not only that, please add us on Twitter and Instagram at The Gray Area Media. Please visit our website at www.thegrayareamedialive.com. Thank you.